Can you share a little bit about how you, maybe a back of the story before that time, before you started coming to the Catholic Church, and what was going on in your life as a young man?
Sure. So I grew up in a Christian family, I would call it. We followed, tried to follow good morals and good Christian values and things like that. Although I didn't go to church that often, I didn't really pray at all. I didn't do much of anything like that. It was kind of just living in the world, right? All as growing up. And when I went to college, really through high school, I started to kind of veer away from those kind of things. I loved the more materialistic things. I loved having fun, whatever that meant at the time. And then as I went to college, I really took a pretty deep dive. And so I went to college at Purdue, Boiler Up. And it really was just a fall into a really hard fall into the secular world. It was taking up on everything that I was offered in the secular world. It was doing as much as I can and really never being fulfilled. But I was chasing all these things and chasing women and parties and drugs and alcohol and just everything that would never actually sustain me in life. And I had a rock bottom moment, and I'm happy to get in that later if we want to, but had a very rock bottom moment where I moved from that kind of Christian value life to right before the rock bottom was more of an agnostic atheist life. I didn't really know if God was there. Who was I to say that there was a God? We're kind of just people here. We die and I don't know what happens, right? But it was that rock bottom moment. In just a couple hours, I went from there probably is no God or who knows if there is one to there absolutely is one, and for some reason now I know. And it was I think of Abraham and Isaac, where he said, Abraham, and he goes, "Here I am, Lord." It's like immediate. And my whole life,
"Here I am, Lord, I believe in you now."
Wait a second, yeah. And so,
awesome.
I then when that happened, that rock bottom moment happened, my best friend, Stone Robbins, I called him that night and said, "Stone, this is what happened to me this night." And he said, "All right, he's got, I think at the time he had one child at home. His wife was about to have another one. And he said, all right, I'll be there right now. And so he came and picked me up and took me to St. Luke Parish, which is another parish in the Archdiocese. And they were having construction done. And there was a door that was left open from one of the construction workers, but it was 11 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night, something like that. And so I actually snuck into the church.
Now it's a public.
Yeah. Sorry, St. Luke.
Yeah, that's great. God left the door open.
Yeah, God left the door open. So the Adoration Chapel wasn't open, but which I was actually thankful for that at the time. Now that I think back to it, but their side chapel was open, and we just sat in there for an hour and a half or so, and didn't really say much. Just kind of sat there in front of the tabernacle, and Stone looks at me and says, "Adam, I think it's about time you start coming to church with us." And because he had been my best friend all this time, and even through, he had a conversion back in junior year of high school, but even through all of my faults and my fails and making fun of his faith and doing all that stuff, he was still a friend of mine and a best friend at that. And